We've been working together since May. It is now the end of October. Before you contacted me in May, I would describe, how many years you struggled with dieting and eating and obsession with food and dieting, and give the listener an idea of where your history.
Yeah. Dieting, restricting, binging, dieting, I would probably 45 years.
For 45 years. And what type of help did you get? Did you see, when did you realize you had issues and you needed help?
Boy, you know what? I don't really think that I understood I had issues until probably 6 months before I called you. And because I started listening, I found you on YouTube and started listening, and it was just a light. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have an eating disorder.
Okay, so did you not get therapy for it or go to any rehabs or anything?
No, I didn't. I just, went to diet after diet after diet and exercise and diet and all my life.
Yeah, because isn't that what everybody wants to do and what everybody should do, right?
Yeah. You just, the next one that came along, that was going to be the miracle cure.
Yeah, and you'll be thinner and it'll be easy and you'll be inspired to cut out sugar for the rest of your life because it's so important. Yeah. And so what brought you to my YouTube channel?
Well, I had done HCG a while back, and then I had decided, well, I think I need to try this again. So I was, when you check that out, your YouTube things came up there, and so I started listening to those, and was just like, oh my goodness, So I started listening to those a little bit. Decided, well, I'll try the HCG again, and I got 3 days into it. I'm like, I can't do this. And so you
loaded and you kept on loading through it, right?
Oh my gosh.
That is so. I get a lot of contact with people who start around and they just don't stop loading, and they're just like, I can't do this. Yeah, so that's not uncommon. Mm-hmm. So we went through this process together for 2 months, 2 to 3 months, right? And tell me how it changed things for you. That original work we did together, talking about going into being obese permanently. We didn't just say stay the same size. We said, how much weight would you be willing to gain to have this permanent freedom from obsessing over your weight, your size, your diet, your food, having to play the game of balance, right, between negotiating to eat and then having to fix it after the fact, right? How did that make an impact on this overall emotional obsession with your body size?
It was just like a instant total light bulb moment, just like, oh my goodness, this is insanity, and I would rather be fat and, 40 to 50 pounds heavier than I was at the time than to ever have to diet again or worry about what I'm going to eat and not eat.
Mm-hmm. And it was pretty instant, but wouldn't you agree that you still had to navigate going out in public, going on dates, being in a bathing suit, right? You did this all during the summer. Right. Yes. And then you kicked butt, right? What happened to your binging? What happened to the binging?
It's gone.
Yeah. When was the last time you binged? Was it in May? Was it before? When did you binge?
Oh, yeah, probably it had to be in May because I haven't binged since we started talking, and probably when I did tried the last HCG round. Was the last time.
Say that one more time.
Probably
The last round. Okay, so the other thing is, it doesn't mean you haven't experienced overeating, right? Remember, there was probably moments of like anxiety still around food, and we had to work around some of that. But the real actual euphoric binge has been gone since we started working. So during the process, so I am going to be rewriting Weight Loss Apocalypse. And the reason is because I no longer believe that this recovery or rehab can be done during the protocol. I've, over the last few years, focused the recovery before the protocol. So you were coached by me the way I'm going to be rewriting Weight Loss Apocalypse. So we did all this work ahead of time, learned the hunger scale in reality, gave you the lenience to eat as much food, or not as much, eat to hunger with any type of food possible. So we gave you months of practice eating sugar and starches and pancakes. And, you know, we talk about that table of abundance versus the table of just chicken and vegetables, right? And it made, you were like not quite sure you even wanted to go on the protocol. You were like, why would I do that? I feel so good. I don't want to tempt myself by going onto the protocol and losing a bunch of weight and feeling like I have this anxiety about having to maintain it. Because if you have to maintain the weight, it means you have to diet, right? And be focused on it. And we did talk about it quite a bit before you decided, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the ultimate test of my recovery, which is, can I be given the idol, right, of thinness? Can I be given the euphoria of the weight loss, right? Can I experience weight loss and size loss without the high? Like this would be like asking someone who is like abuses alcohol. Could you be given a beer and not feel, number one, that you have failed your recovery, and number two, decide you need to get drunk, right? Because an alcoholic's goal is to get drunk. That's it. So could you be handed your drug, which is the euphoria of thinness and healthiness and this appeal that I'm more valuable to others because I'm thinner and I have something of worth because this is a sign that I have, you know, earned this, and I look more like myself, you know, like whatever bullshit you're telling yourself. Can you do that and not put yourself on a pedestal and have this ego around your body image? And how did you do? So you went through the protocol after doing this work, and we specifically talked on multiple occasions about you've got to be willing to be handed your weight loss, to be handed your idol, and to hand it back when this is over. What that means is you've got to be willing to, in the end, say, I'm not going to diet. So I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. I'm going to eat the variety of food that I'm allowed based on the protocol. And I'm going to let the body manage itself, which means that I have to be willing and open to where my weight lands and how much fat I end up gaining. And if I gain or lose, I have to be willing to let the body manage that and not feel the urge or desire to hold on to it. So how did that go? So we did that. That was the ultimate test. Do you see that now after the fact?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Totally.
And not everybody I work with does that. I don't encourage it. First of all, clearly I don't encourage that with my anorexic clients. They have to do it right away. They have to be willing to give up their thinness to start. It's more so appropriate for the binge eaters and the bulimics. So again, more content for Weight Loss Apocalypse. So you went through it and you lost. Do you even know how much you lost? Because I had you test yourself too by monitoring your weight. So we didn't weigh, and then I said, okay, we're going to have you look at your weight to see what happens. So do you attach to it? Do you need to, you know, continue to monitor it? Do you need to, you know, What happens emotionally if you start looking at that number? So we did that too.
Yeah, and we didn't, right, but I didn't I'm not exactly sure what it was when I started because I didn't get on the scale, and then so I would probably say between 30 to 35 pounds, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. And you started, I think, you were like, how much weight were you when you started with me? Like 200 pounds, 180 pounds?
Probably 200.
200 pounds. Yeah. So either way, it doesn't matter, right? And we had to filter through because you did have some euphoria during the protocol, and you recognized it. You recognized it.
Yeah, and then there was times I was wondering, why am I doing this again? You know.
Well, because we are trying to give you the ultimate test of recovery, which is if you're recovered. Right. You should be able to lose weight and not be euphoric around it and not have to maintain it. You should be like, I'm going to let the body maintain itself. And that means that I'm open to being in this body with whatever it chooses to be. I'm not going to force it to fit into this tiny little box of what I'm comfortable in. Right? I talk about this with that ultimately this is a sign. Someone that has to have an easier body to live in, that's a sign of weakness, right? That they don't have the ability to live in a body that's difficult to live in. When you have to have an easier body to live in, easier socially, easier physically, that's not a sign of strength. That's not a sign of something to be, putting on a pedestal. Right. If you have a very strong psychological, emotional, spiritual connection, you should have the ability to live in any body type, right? So I could live in a different race. I could live in a different height. I could live with different hair. I could live in ultimately for me, I truly believe I could live and be happy in a 500-pound body. I had to make that decision for my recovery, right? And I had that out-of-body experience where I was given the opportunity to feel a body that was 500 pounds. It was an unbelievable experience. And just because your body is easier to live in now, easier from social judgment, social stigma, social criticism, just because it's easier, doesn't mean that you're better, right?
Oh, exactly.
Right. And so now,
and that was the other aha, was that even after I did that and the weight loss and everything, was that this thought that I am not any different today than I was 30 pounds heavier. I'm the same person.
Yeah, you have the same likes. You have the same quality as a human being. So this isn't about necessarily improving upon your character. It's really about noticing there's a difference between who you are as a being and your ability to live in a body that's not idolized by society, right?
Exactly.
And being able to separate the two, like just because you are you're closer to what society worships, doesn't mean that you are better, right?
Exactly.
And if you have truly developed this emotional and psychological and spiritual strength, you should be able to detach from the body, whether it's right or wrong, based on the society's beliefs about it. And you should be able to live in it and be happy with it. You should be able to adjust your perceptions around it.
Yeah.
Right? And if you can't, then you've got to be okay with the management around it, right? Because there's got to be some balance. You've got to be willing to have the management around it. So let's just say there's a body, like I'm going to use my body, for example. I have chronic back pain, right? And I accept it. It's just, it is what it is. I have massive arthritis in my hip sockets, goes into my lumbar. I have a disc that's bulging and it slips. So randomly I have such intense pain I can't move. And it's been there for 15 years, 14 years. And I can handle that. Why be a martyr? Why be a victim? Why do that to yourself? That's suffering. Why suffer? You know, it doesn't mean that I don't stretch my hips out. It doesn't mean that I haven't gone to chiropractic. It doesn't mean that I'm not willing to do activities that get rid of the pain, right? But what am I not willing to do? It's really a matter of keeping balance in terms of what I have, what I do to manage it, right? And the ability to separate my life from the fact that I'm limited. I am limited. I cannot do the activity I used to be able to do, right? Does that mean that my life is less and like that I'm being, you know, that I can't adjust around it? I mean, you got to be able to adjust around it. So take someone who's 300, 400 pounds, you know, who literally felt body shame to get there. Take them and the limits that they have to have two seats in an airplane. They have chronic knee pain. They can't walk as well. They need a walker. They can't explore. They can't run. They can't do, you know, a lot of physical mobile things, right? They're limited there.
Right.
Is it worth obsessing over food for the rest of your life to lose weight? If the answer is yes, then accept that, right? If you've accepted that, then there shouldn't be any euphoria in the weight loss, right? The euphoria in the weight loss would come from, I'm a better person, people like me more, right? That's that social part, right. Paradigm. Yeah. So for you said people have noticed and they are asking why you're not, your mom, right? Didn't your mom was like, what, you're not going to diet?
Right.
And you're like, no, I'm not going to diet. And you went on vacation and people are watching you, right?
But, or it's more like they don't even believe that I'm not going to or that I am not dieting.
Yeah, they don't believe that. Okay, so tell me, because you're at this point, you're not dieting.
Right.
Meaning you don't.
I am not dieting. I don't wake up. I mean, like I said this morning, it's so freeing to. I wake up in the morning, but for the first time in my life in the last, 3 or 4 months, not wondering what I can and cannot eat for today, or what I'm not going to eat today, or just the whole insanity.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, but you're seeing everybody else in that insanity. Like you just spent time.
Goodness, yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of sad.
And everything is about what, I'm going to eat what's healthy for me, or this isn't healthy, or that's not healthy, or you can't eat that, or, I have to go to my exercise class. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It is everywhere. And the majority, I'm assuming that you're seeing, they're concerned about their weight. Yeah. Right? And then they say, but you need to do it for your health. Meaning we need to do it for our weight, right? Because that's what they're inferring.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty amazing.
It is.
So, overall, has this process been is there any possible way you could have, I could have explained this to you ahead of time and said, here's how this is going to work, and this is what's going to happen, and this is how you're going to feel? Is there any way I could have done that?
No, because, I remember when I had decided, I'm not going to diet again. I'm just going to be fat. And I went out and bought some bigger pants and all that. And then as we're talking, and you talked about doing the protocol, and I'm like, oh, I don't.
Yeah, I remember you were like, and why do I need to do this? Why am I going? Because you had just been like, I'm done. I'm so done. I'd rather either be this size or even get bigger. And so that's typically when I'm like, all right, well, now you got to do the hard part, which is, could you lose weight and not defend it? Not attached to it, and then let it go. Because that's what you've had to have been willing to do. You said you just went on vacation, right?
Yeah.
And did you do for the most part, a very accurate job eating to hunger?
Yeah.
You gave yourself.
And whatever I want, whenever, just if I was hungry, we ate, or I ate, and I didn't worry about it. What was available is what we ate. So it wasn't like before when oh my gosh, when you're always on this specific eating regimen or whatever, where you go, I can't have that, and I can't have that, and we have to go over here because I can't have that,
and I shouldn't have that, and then the negotiations, right? Then you're like, but I've earned it. I'm on vacation. I'll only have a couple bites. That's negotiation too.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. I could tell if, even now, I can tell if I'm even considering negotiating for food.
Mm-hmm. And then you're like,
so apparent.
Yeah, and
what the heck?
Yeah, and it typically ends, right? You recognize it, and then it ends the moment you say, I'll fix this tomorrow. I'll eat less tomorrow. And then that's when you're like, whoa, nope, done, right? Because you've committed that you'll never diet again. So you have to really consider the responsibility it requires that if you never diet again, and there's no possible way to fix what's going to happen to your body if you do overconsume, you get your consequences. And you have to really question if you want those consequences. Right? The balance between do I want to have heartburn, and do I want to have bloatedness and pain, and do I want to have hot flashes and discomfort and issues in the bowel? And consider the consequences immediately that you have to think about. Do I want to feel that way?
Right.
Is this food worth feeling that way? No.
And it's not even, I'm not even trying to remember why it would have come up, but it's like, why would I overeat this?
Yeah.
I can have it later.
You got it. Well,
I don't need to overeat this.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to feel withheld or deprived, because you can have it now. You can have it again later. You can have it tomorrow. So it kind of takes away that power, right? The power of, I shouldn't eat it, or I can't eat it, or that forbidden fruit power that diets give food, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the crux of the whole thing is the diet and body image has controlled my life, instead of my soul controlling my life.
Mm-hmm.
Me being what my soul is, me as a person, and who God created me to be, has not shown up, been able to show up, because that my body image and dieting has controlled everything.
Yeah, it's like an identity. You identified yourself before as the body that needed to be fixed. Whereas now you identify yourself with your being, and that you are in this body, right? It's a very different way to identify yourself, and to identify how you are valued in a culture, or valued in a pack, because we are pack animals. Yeah. Right? That you would rather be judged, abandoned, and rejected because you're fat than to have to diet and suffer and obsess over your size for someone else's approval. right? Even for your own approval, it's not worth it anymore. You'd rather approve of something more profound, more deep, more real, more truthful.
Oh yeah, totally. Yes.
Yeah, it should feel like you left a religion, like you left religion. That type of separation. Like I left a belief system, a way of living. You left a way to perceive yourself, to perceive others. You completely rejected it and decided you're going to start over with nothing, with whatever you are, which you don't have a good sense of in the moment. It's just, I got to be better than that. I mean, me being kind has got to be more worth something than me being thin. Kindness and thinness. I mean, which one's worth more to your heart, to you?
Right.
You know, you have to be able to say, I'd rather just be, if I have to stay fat, right? And that's the part that is very important in the process. You really do have to permanently accept fatness. Permanently.
Mm-hmm.
To get freedom from it. If you don't accept it permanently, if you just accept it temporarily, it doesn't necessarily work the same way. Right?
Right.
Bravo, bravo. You kicked ass. So we have one more session left, and what are your plans?
Oh.
You're pretty much recovered. You're recovered, my friend. You did it.
I'm pretty sure I am. I'm just like, yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
So I wonder if we check in after the holidays. Let's just see where you're at after the holidays. Okay,
that would be good. Yeah.
I think so too. And just go through it and see where you're at when you have all that.
Thought I had when we were talking about, being, thin or body image for other people, when you really, really, really get down to the bottom line, other people care about how they look. They don't care about you. They may have this thought that, oh, she looks good or whatever, but other than that, they don't care.
No, they don't care. They don't care unless they believe in thin supremacy. Right? But even if they do believe in thin supremacy, they don't necessarily project it onto you the same way they project it onto themselves. Right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just don't understand, how could that not be important to you? How could that not be, defining? It's so important. Oh my God. They just don't understand that you don't need it. That's the key here. You don't need it. That's why you have recovered. This essentially was a test of necessity. The protocol was that we put you through.
It is not important to me anymore.
Amazing. Amazing.
No.
Love it. All right. Well, I'm going to end this video.
I mean, when I tell people, go to Weight Loss Apocalypse. Just go listen. Just try it. And, I don't know if anybody has or not, but, because I can't tell people. They just look at me like I grew a third head. I said, I am done dieting. I'm never going to diet again.
I know they do. That's like, what? Yeah, not important to me. I'd rather be fat. I'd rather be unhealthy. I'd rather have my life back, my real life. Like the ability to think and breathe and And it's not because you're healthy that you can do that. It's not because of the food. It's not because you're exercising. That's not what creates health.
Nope.
It starts with your frame of mind and your state of consciousness. That's the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is variable. It can be variable.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I was going to exercise now, it would be because taking a walk makes me feel happy.
Yeah, you want to see nature, and you want to, I would agree. All right. I'm excited. So when do you want to schedule that right now? Just get it in the books?
What are you thinking? Sometime in January?
I'm gonna turn this off. Thanks for letting me share this video.